When people step into an Amish community for the first time, whether they are white, black, or from any background, they often carry a sense of curiosity mixed with uncertainty. The Amish world looks like a place frozen in time. Horse-drawn buggies on the roads, barns standing tall without a single power line in sight, and children in plain clothing playing in the fields. For black visitors, this experience can feel even more striking because the Amish are not often portrayed as interacting with diverse groups of people. Yet, when you cross into their world, what you encounter is not hostility, but a form of hospitality rooted in faith and tradition. The Amish practice a simple Christianity that emphasizes humility, service, and treating others as neighbors. Their way of life is shaped by the teachings of Jesus, and that extends to how they receive outsiders. While they live separately from the modern world, they are not isolated from the human responsibility to show kindness. Black visitors often describe their first encounters in Amish markets, roadside stands, or farm visits as calm, polite, and free from the kind of tension one might expect in communities that appear so closed off. The Amish tend to interact with strangers through warmth rather than suspicion, because their guiding principle is to be in the world, but not of it. That said, the first impression can feel reserved. Amish people, regardless of who visits them, tend not to greet strangers with exuberant openness. They are quiet, often slow to speak, and sometimes even shy. This can be misread as coldness, but in reality, it is simply their cultural style. For black visitors, the experience is much the same as for anyone else. A cautious but respectful welcome, followed by growing friendliness if the encounter continues. Once a conversation begins about produce, baked goods, furniture, or even directions, the genuine warmth of the Amish becomes clear. The Amish concept of hospitality is less about surface charm and more about service. If a black visitor approaches an Amish home needing assistance, a glass of water, help with a broken-down car nearby, or directions, they are likely to receive help without hesitation. The Amish view every outsider as a guest, and a guest is to be treated with dignity. This ethic comes not from social progress movements, but from their centuries-old biblical conviction that all people are created equal before God. The first glimpse into Amish hospitality shows that, while their culture may be unusual and their demeanor understated, their treatment of black visitors is guided by a steady, faith-based kindness. It might not be flashy or loud, but it is consistent, practical, and deeply rooted in their values. Business interactions and everyday commerce. One of the most common ways black visitors come into contact with Amish people is through business, whether it's stopping at a roadside stand to buy vegetables, walking into a family bakery, or visiting an Amish-owned furniture shop. For the Amish, commerce is not just an exchange of money. It is an extension of their community values. They see every customer as someone to be served fairly, and that mindset shapes how black visitors are treated in their marketplaces. In Amish stores, there is a notable absence of sales pressure. Customers, regardless of race, are greeted politely. Amish shopkeepers tend not to engage in small talk about personal lives, but they are quick to answer questions about their goods. For black visitors, this can feel refreshingly straightforward. There is no awkward sizing up or unspoken tension, just a simple focus on what is being bought and sold. What stands out in these interactions is fairness. Amish farmers and craftsmen have built their reputations on honesty, and it is a point of pride that they do not overcharge or show favoritism. A black customer pays the same as a white customer, and Amish sellers are often meticulous about weighing produce correctly, giving exact change, and ensuring quality. Many black visitors have commented that they feel respected as customers in Amish markets, respected not because of flattery or forced friendliness, but because the Amish believe their work honors God, and cheating anyone would dishonor both the buyer and the seller. Amish businesses also operate with an understated hospitality. In some shops, visitors may be offered samples of homemade bread, cheese, or jam without any assumption of purchase. In roadside markets, Amish children sometimes assist with sales, shyly bagging produce or handing over baked goods. These small gestures create a sense of shared humanity that crosses racial lines. For Black visitors, these moments are often remembered more than the items purchased because they reveal the simple sincerity of Amish life. Of course, the Amish are not immune to the cultural gaps that exist between their world and the outside one. They may not always understand the cultural expressions, speech patterns, or humor of Black visitors, just as outsiders may not fully grasp Amish ways. But instead of letting differences create distance, Amish business dealings tend to focus on common ground: honesty, politeness, and fair exchange. In a world where commerce can sometimes feel impersonal or prejudiced, Amish shops stand out for their quiet consistency. In this way, Black visitors discover that stepping into Amish commerce is not stepping into a place of judgment, but into a space where fairness is the rule and respect is the unspoken language. Social interactions and community gatherings. When Black visitors encounter the Amish outside of business settings, in places like livestock auctions, public markets, or community events, they experience another layer of Amish culture. Social life for the Amish is not about entertainment or spectacle, but about community function, buying and selling, worshiping and gathering for shared work. For outsiders, especially Black visitors, joining these spaces can feel like stepping into another century. Yet what's striking is how the Amish maintain the same quiet, respectful approach to strangers in social settings as they do in business ones. At public auctions, for instance, where Amish families gather to buy tools, farm animals, or quilts, visitors of all backgrounds are welcome. Black visitors often find themselves the minority in such spaces, but the Amish do not make them feel unwelcome. Instead, the focus remains on the event itself. Amish men and women may nod politely or exchange a brief word of acknowledgement, but rarely will they engage in extended conversations with outsiders. This is not a sign of prejudice, but of cultural reserve. The Amish are cautious with all strangers, no matter their race, until trust is established. In more informal social gatherings, such as after-church meals that sometimes include non-Amish guests, Black visitors are treated with the same hospitality given to anyone. If invited to share a meal, a visitor will find the Amish eager to ensure they are fed, seated, and comfortable. Meals are central to Amish life, and offering food is a sacred gesture. For a Black guest at an Amish table, the experience often transcends cultural differences. The act of sharing bread becomes a bridge between worlds. Children in Amish communities also play a role in shaping first impressions. They are often curious about Black visitors, since many Amish settlements have limited exposure to racial diversity. Their curiosity may take the form of long stares or whispered questions, but rarely rudeness. Parents gently encourage respect, reminding children that guests are to be treated kindly. For Black visitors, these moments can be both disarming and endearing, a reminder that much of the Amish worldview is shaped by innocence rather than hostility. It's worth noting that Amish communities are not untouched by the broader cultural attitudes of rural America. Some visitors have reported feeling an undercurrent of old-fashioned views about race, often inherited from the surrounding society rather than Amish theology itself. However, because the Amish define themselves first and foremost through their Christian faith, overt discrimination is rare. More often, what Black visitors encounter is not prejudice but a kind of cultural distance, a gap that is bridged through acts of hospitality, fairness, and quiet respect. In these social settings, black visitors discover that while the Amish may not be outgoing or culturally fluent in diversity, their treatment is guided by a steady principle. Outsiders are neighbors, and neighbors deserve kindness.